We have everyone back at the table, but before we do, Kendon, something you wanted to say that bounces off of what we just saw there. There is a hotline that people can call if they need help.
Yeah, so actually there is something that the St. Louis County has done, as well as St. Charles County has developed the Youth Connection Helpline. And so those are partnerships, Youth in Need and Behavioral Health Response. Youth can call, text, web chat, go to a safe place to get help. So those are great resources for young people as well. So,
do you know it off the top of your head?
Yeah, absolutely. So the St. Louis County Youth Connection Helpline number is 314-628-2929. And the St. Charles Youth Connection Helpline number is 636. Oh, I'm going to forget.
Put it on the website.
I will put it up on the website. Absolutely. Thank you.
Some other numbers come with dollar signs in front of them. The Reverend mentioned it when we first started talking. We do get some federal money, do we not? How much do we get? What do we do with it?
Well, we get about $9 million from the continuum of care that goes for housing. It goes largely for permanent supportive housing, largely for people with serious mental illness through our Department of Mental Health and other agencies that provide housing for them. We get about $1 million to $1.5 million each year for what's referred to as the Emergency Solutions Grant, and that goes to support shelters, to support some rapid rehousing, emergency services, that type of thing. The City of St. Louis, through its Affordable Housing Commission, also has about a $4 million budget. That's more around prevention. So yes, there's some real money. There's not nearly enough money to meet the need. I mean, we also have 6,000 units of public housing in the City of St. Louis through the St. Louis Housing Authority, and another 6,000 Section 8 housing vouchers, which relate to homelessness in the sense that they provide some security for people who, but for that kind of subsidy, may have found themselves homeless. With relatively modest investment on a regional scale, though, we can create more housing. We can put people who, with just a little bit of help, could be rapidly rehoused. That's where those are some high-yield strategies where a little bit of investment spread out broadly through the region can have a huge impact.
Is that ring true with you guys? Or do these conversations miss any of the kind of the human element or the personal element? Are you encouraged when you hear things about the plans in the City of St. Louis or the plans in the county?
Well, I think the concern is, though, with what's going on in Washington, our major dependence on federal funds puts us in a very vulnerable situation. I think when we talk about affordable housing, what we need to do is try to preserve our affordable housing stock. It's something I've been trying to do the last 35 plus years, actually, to try to preserve what affordable housing stock we have and also continue to work through the private sector and not rely on Washington money to the extent that we are, because if we see major cutbacks to balance the budget in Washington, what kind of ramifications does that have as far as helping the homeless here?
What do you mean by preserving that housing?
Well, maybe we're beyond, years ago, and now, even now, when private landlords would have housing and needed to be fixed up, to come up with loans, come up with grants, try to preserve it, try to keep housing costs down. When gentrification sweeps through a particular community, and you go from $400 or $500 a month to $700, $800, $1,000, $1,200 a month, it's very difficult. I want to get people into housing, but my big concern is keeping them there and seeing that after a year, when they don't have the government benefits, they're not right back out on the streets. I see many cases like that. I want to see people get in affordable housing, but keep them in affordable housing and find affordable housing they can afford.
Is that a county problem that's vastly different or somewhat similar to the city?
Similar. It's similar. We have a lack of affordable housing as well.
And is that in your purview, or is that something that you're a part of a conversation on what to do something about, or is the team on the same page there?
We are having those conversations, yes. For instance, there are landlord summits coming up to invite local landlords to come together who have had good experiences with low-income units to share their knowledge and their experiences with other landlords, so that they can dispel the myths of renting for Section 8. It's not so scary, whatnot. Share the positive experiences they've had renting to the low-income folks, and to try to build that capacity with landlords and who then will be willing to rent to the folks that we're talking about here.
Lori, we've covered a lot of stuff tonight. What would you like to see our region do?
I would like to see our region continue in the collaborative spirit that we've recently started. I think it's really important that we look at this as a regional issue. We've talked a lot about some of the reasons people become homeless and some of the challenges people face, and I think one of the members of this panel said it's all very individual, and that's true, but it's also somewhat systematic. There are systematic failures that cause people to become homeless, and I think we need to look at those in order to really shape the conversation appropriately and then move us toward this functional zero homelessness that I think everybody at this table wants.
Is functional zero homelessness, do you believe in that? Do you believe that's possible?
Well, I believe we'll always have the poor with us. I think we're going to have people homeless. They fall into homelessness out of homelessness. I think there's a lot of things we can do. Our goal is, I refer to it as breaking the cycle of homelessness. I believe it has to work on an individual case and basis, but the trouble is I keep seeing more and more people with the destruction of affordable housing, breakdown of the family unit, cutbacks on the state level where they cut back mental health programs, alcohol treatment programs, and they expect the police to handle all the problems. I believe that we're going to have to see, again, not only move from the region but also to the state, that the state needs to start recognizing they got some serious problems. I'll leave it up to the police.
Would you be happy if you could shut down your homeless services because it was no longer needed?
I'd like to see a day when no one would have to ever come to our place for a place to stay, but I don't know if I'll see that day, but I'm going to work for it. I've been working for it for 43 years.
Zero homeless? Is that a pie in the sky, or is that something that's real?
I think that, I mean, for our agency,
I probably just messed up the phrase too, but
really?
but I
I agree with what Lori said. It's really, homelessness is a systemic issue. You know, youth are homeless, and the number one reason is because of family dysfunction. What that means is mental health issues in the family, alcohol or drug addiction in the family, chronic poverty, generational poverty. It's a very systemic issue. It is not an easy fix, and I think it gets lost in politics.